Hey, what's going on, guys? G.Casey here, bringing you the CTL Week 3 All-Inspiration Results video. As you can see by the graphic here, it didn't really go too well for us in Week 3, but we'll still talk about the games anyway and just give you a nice little update. We'll kick things off with my game as Set 1 All-In G.Casey versus Lucky 13 Ensalada. That was a ZVT, where I went for this sort of 3-base roach play that I didn't really execute properly. I was behind on supply, I just didn't really do all that well. Went out for an attack, got crushed, and then was barely able to hold the first attack by Ensalada, but then he just overran me with superior income and more units, and just overall just outplayed me and won the game fair and square. And it only gets worse from there for All-In, as in Set 2, we had Shadver versus Crux, and that was a PBT, where Shadver went for this sort of 2 Oracle play right off the start. But unfortunately, it was scouted by Crux, and he was easily able to get a couple missile turrets in place to hold that off. And then, unfortunately, pretty much from there, Shadver was behind. Crux hit him with a couple good drops, took out quite a few probes, and then just ended up, expanding his lead from there, and then just winning the final battle. And Shadver had to leave that game. But it was well played by Crux there. So for set number 3, Galaxy versus Couchy. This was a TVT matchup that went on forever. It was a super long macro game. If you like that kind of stuff, go check it out. But it was basically a Viking tank Hellion battle with a couple Ravens mixed in here and there. It's really hard to remember everything that happened in that, except for the fact that Couchy just had way more Vikings than Galaxy did, and ended up winning that air battle, which made it much easier for his tanks to engage. And in that case, he just won the game after a while. So 0-3 to start off, and then it just gets worse with Set 4, All-In Cyrex versus Lucky 13, the Mighty L. This was a ZVP where Cy ended up getting caught with some Oracle harass, took out about 7 workers, and then from there he actually made a really good decision to expand to the gold base, and it wasn't scouted right away. So he actually managed to catch back up, and he had a whole bunch of Hydras. But the thing is that when the Mighty L hit with the Oracle, Cy kind of overcompensated with Hydras, and the Mighty L was just waiting for him with a bunch of Colossi. He did have a lot of air units too. There were some carriers in that game, so definitely go check that out if you like that kind of thing. But it did put All-In at a 0-4 score, just 1 loss away from basically clinching the loss. So for Set 5, we had Sinistar come in against Lucky 13's KOLE. And Sinistar went for this 9-pool type Zerg rush that didn't really get him much. But then he switched up into a Swarm Host Nidus play, where he had walled off his ramp completely, because it looked like KOLE was going to go for a Baneling bust, which might have worked. But instead, he decided, you know what? Sinistar is playing so defensive that I'm just going to let him waste all that money. Well, in the end, he didn't realize that there was a Swarm Host with a Nidus network place, and Sinistar won that game very nicely. Alright, so getting a win on the board for us, it's 1-4 at this point, when Operator faces off against Lucky 13 Slayer in a ZVT, or sorry, a TVZ in this case, and honestly, that game, I can't remember too much about it, except for the fact that I know Operator got overwhelmed by a really good Baneling bust, and it was just good play by Slayer that sort of just sort of outplayed Operator. And it's worth noting here that this was a Platinum match. I believe it was Operator's first Platinum match, so that kind of thing is going to happen when you just jump from Gold and you're used to crushing all the Gold players, and now you're sort of bottom to middle tier Platinum, and you're facing other players who are top tier Platinum. There's a big difference there. So that kind of thing is going to happen at least early on in your promotional career. And then unfortunately going from there, we actually had 2 walkover victories for Lucky 13. And the way it's set up on the Chobo site, it's not necessarily Set 7 and Set 8 that were the walkover victories, but I just thought it would be easier to set it up this way, so that's why I did that. So unfortunately, Lucky 13 gets 7 points off that one. Now, luckily for us, we had All-In P. Sosa come in, and he faced Lucky 13 Metalcore, which what Metalcore did was the same thing that P. Sosa's last opponent did, was go for a hardcore mech play, But now, after so many times facing it, P. Sosa handled it beautifully and just had tons of roaches. He switched to Swarm Host earlier. He got some Broodlords out. He did all sorts of stuff that just completely destroyed the mech army of Metalcore both times in both games. So, very good match there. He actually won 2-0, didn't drop a game. But unfortunately for All Inspiration, we did handedly lose that week against Lucky 13. They fielded a whole bunch of good players. They just outplayed us pretty much all across the board. Hopefully you have seen the games by now and you're not just going to go watch them after watching this one. But I think it's fun to do this kind of results video. So anyway, guys, Team All Inspiration after Week 3 is now 1-2. So stay tuned. We got Week 4 playlist coming to you guys soon.